You've decided to take your family on the most epic adventure of your life. You're going to see 5 parks in Utah called the Mighty 5. We're going to tell you everything that you need to know about planning your vacation. April and I have lived in Utah and been exploring these parks for about 15 years. We've actually been filming them for 6. Our first videos were of Utah's national parks.
Not Mindy.
Huh?
You may not want to promote people to go watch those.
Hey, you guys! Thank you again for joining me on another journey. We're just outside Capitol Reef National Park in Utah. So I found a old structure. I believe it's a old grits mill. They're a little hard to watch.
Really, they're not bad. They're fun. One of my most favorite things about Utah's Mighty 5 national parks is that they are these massive, mind-blowing places with incredible views and sights. Right?
Otherworldly.
Yes.
So if you don't know the 5 national parks in Utah that make up the Mighty 5, you have Arches, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Canyonlands, and Zion.
Zion. All y'all non-Mormons call it Zion, and it's Zion, at least in the Mormons' land.
Don't underestimate how big this place is. This makes you feel very small.
We're here to help you plan your trip, let you know everything you need to know before you go.
So we're going to use all of our knowledge through all of the different trips that we've taken to help you with everything that you need to know before you go.
From where to stay, about how many days you should spend in each park.
Super secret places that you shouldn't tell anybody, but don't forget to share the video.
From local places to eat and what to pack, important tips.
And if you stay to the end, we're going to give you the secret. Most people that come to Utah make this mistake. It totally ruins their vacations, so you don't have to worry about making that same mistake.
Yes.
You're probably wondering where to fly into for Utah's Mighty 5. You can fly into Salt Lake City, you can fly into Las Vegas, or you can even fly into Denver. Those are pretty much your 3 major locations to fly into to start off your adventure, depending on how much time you have and which parks you're going to want to put on your list. We're starting this journey off from Salt Lake City, and we're going to hit Canyonlands. Not just Canyonlands, but it'll be Canyonlands Needles District will be our first stop. And then both sides, Island of the Sky at Canyonlands, Arches, Capitol Reef, Bryce Canyon, Zion, and then the last, which is Collab Canyon, the northwest side of Zion. You're probably wondering, if I want to get to Utah early or before the crowds get here, there are a couple things that you want to take into consideration. Even though it's spring, it still snows. As you can see, it's snowing a little bit today. To be honest with you, if you're not an expert blizzard driver, not snow driver, but blizzard driver, because the storms get very fierce out here and there is no civilization. There's nowhere to pull off. There's nowhere to go, turn around. Once you get in the storm, you're in it. It's not uncommon to see a blizzard come through here in the spring where it'll dump 6 to 10 inches in an hour.
Or in the fall.
And they come out of nowhere. It's not like the East Coast. There's nothing out here. You wreck out here, they might not find you for a couple days, depending on where you're at.
And a lot of rental cars don't have snow tires.
You're not allowed to also put chains on, which you are required by law to have chains in the car going through the passes. There's not a whole lot here, so if you're going to come from Las Vegas or Salt Lake City or even Denver, our suggestion is grab a cooler at one of those areas, fill it up at the grocery store there. They have plenty of little markets here, but obviously it's limited compared to the big city. Canyonlands National Park. This one is Utah's largest of all the Mighty 5. Almost 338,000 acres of land.
The Colorado and Green Rivers divide the park into 4 districts: Island in the Sky, Needles, the Maze, and the Rivers. And then there's a detached area called Horseshoe Canyon.
And we're actually on our way to the Needles today.
This is also a dark sky park. National Park Service created the Night Sky Team to find the darkest national parks and document the effects of light pollution on nocturnal animals, humans, and plants. The team also works on protecting and restoring dark places in the parks to preserve the ability for visitors to connect with the night sky and contemplate their place within the universe. Canyonlands is also home to some of the most significant rock art in America.
We stopped at Newspaper Rock to check out the ancient graffiti, or otherwise known as petroglyphs. Oh, these are great.
Yeah.
A guy standing on a horse over here. Lots of deer.
I like how it's called Newspaper Rock.
Yeah, it's ancient graffiti. That's my interpretation. It's a bunch of teenagers wrote on the wall back in the day.
It records approximately 2,000 years of early human activity, probably from the archaic basket maker, Fremont, and Pueblo cultures etched on the rock from BC time to 1300 AD. Ute and Navajo people, as well as European Americans, made their contributions as well. Scholars are undecided in trying to interpret the figures on the rock as to their meaning. We don't know if the figures represent storytelling, doodling, hunting magic, clan symbols, ancient graffiti, or something else. Without a true understanding of the petroglyphs, much is left for individual interpretation. This area is part of the Bears Ears National Monument. Canyonlands is home to some of the most remote land in continental U.S.
Look at this beauty, though. It's so different, though.
That's the thing with the Utah Mighty Five. There are a lot of similarities, but they all are unique and special in their own way.
If you're a history buff, remember Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? This is where they used to hide out as part of Robber's Roost.
Slow. Fee station ahead.
Our pass expired in February.
Last month.
We got to get a new one.
If you're coming for Utah's Mighty Five, definitely buy it.
Buy the annual pass. What's really cool about it is you get to use it at all the national parks, national monuments, national forests. So the entrance fee is $30 for a private car, and that gives you 7 days access if you don't want to buy the annual pass.
It doesn't work for state parks, though.
All right. This is a new one. We got a lizard on this time. $80. That's still a bargain. So the drive into the national park, before you even get into the national park, once you come off the main road, I thought we were immediately in the park. No, we were not in the park. But it was amazing anyway. Now that we've actually entered into the park, it is next level. I can see why.
Level.
I can see why.
Next level.
I can see why they call it needles. Those are sandstone pillars. After stopping at the visitor center and talking to Ranger Wendy, which was absolutely amazing. She had such great personality and gave us all the information we needed to explore Needles for the day. Our first stop is going to be Cave Spring.
It is 0.6 mile hike, round trip. It has a historic cowboy camp, prehistoric pictographs, and a spring. Oh, this is the one with the ladders.
Oh, perfect. So we're going to go do ladders. It's kind of like being in Acadia National Park. Keeps on going. Every bend is going to end is a ball buster, leg buster, back buster. Mentally, are you up for this challenge? You do have to be mentally ready for this. Now I feel really bad for not letting April know in advance. But to be honest with you, I think it's good that she didn't come. April's been trying to get out of this hike all morning.
All morning? It's been 5 minutes since we talked to her about it.
April's not happy with me.
Well, I don't know yet. I am trepidatious because I have PTSD from precipice. It's important to note to not enter or touch the springs or water because they are considered sacred.
That's good to know. This is only a 0.6 of a mile trail, so it's not going to be that long, but it is going to be a little bit more technical because it's got ladders. Keep in mind that all of Utah's Mighty Five are in the desert, so the sun is pretty strong even in the winter. And in the summer, it's crazy strong.
And it's the high desert. Yeah, I need to see myself. It's the high desert, so we're at elevation, closer to the sun.
So bring your cloud makeup.
This schnoz of mine is not gonna...
Oh, she's gonna put a red nose on her.
A red nose?
Yeah, a big, giant, honking red nose with some... You look like a cloud.
I'm trying to avoid having a red nose.
I know, you got cloud face.
Wait, tell me where I'm not rubbed in enough, please.
Pretty much your whole face on.
Really?
Yeah, it's all white.
I didn't know. This is new. No, this is new sunscreen. I've not ever used this kind before.
I'm serious. It's like cloud makeup. You're sunscreened up. First thing we come up to is the Cowboy Ruins.
This area has been used for like shelter and whatnot for over 1,000 years. There's evidence of that. This is particularly for the cowboys. They used these camps from the late 1800s through 1975 when cattle ranching ended inside the park.
Oh, I see the pictographs.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. Look, you can see them. Deer. There's several of them. If you could get closer, you could see it better. It was much better on newspaper rock. It's cool.
Cowboys established the camp at Cave Spring because of the reliable water source. In the late 1800s, pioneering cattlemen settled in canyon country and carved successful cattle operations out of this desert. Since it took 200 acres to feed one cow and water sources were many rugged miles apart, the life of the cowboy was difficult. Cowboys would cook over an open fire using Dutch ovens and other simple cookware. Cowboy fare included, this is Wayne's diet. Ready? Beans, bacon, potatoes, canned goods, sourdough biscuits, and the ever-present coffee.
That's literally everything I made.
But we didn't include chips.
Story time with April. Made it to the ladders. At least the first set. This isn't near as scary as Acadia. It's just a regular ladder. And it's bolted down. Let's get prepared to climb a ladder.
Well, for those of you that know me, you know I have issues with heights, and I have vertigo, and just don't look down. And I don't have the best balance. Let's see, where do you go when you get up here?
Just go up.
No, you don't just go up. Assume you go this way?
Yeah, you just walk across.
Oh boy.
Want me to do it first, huh?
Yeah. Not really anything.
Okay, I'll get it. Oh, the rock's super sticky.
Okay, that doesn't help me, Wayne. Where am I stepping?
Anywhere you want. Over here's
good.
Crack. There's no crack. You're fine.
There is a crack. I'm stepping right there, and you're in the way.
Go ahead. I got you.
That doesn't work.
I got you. Okay, let me help you.
It wasn't so much the ladder was okay-ish, as long as I didn't look down. It's that part where there was the crack, and then my legs just aren't long enough to stretch very well.
Well, it's scary.
And there's the drop-off.
Okay, we're at the next ladder. Because April had a little bit of a hard time with the trail, we're not going to say it's easy, because it's not. I think she did a great job, and I think you can handle it as well. If you got hiking shoes on and the right equipment, when you're on these trails out here, the sun and the high altitude, and it's a desert, sweating like you would in the south, you are losing water very fast. And because of the high altitude, it makes it twice as hard to breathe and even just take steps. So take an aspirin for the high altitude to avoid getting altitude sickness.
Drink lots and lots of water.
Yeah, lots of water.
Lots and lots.
Get you a camel hydration system, and then that way you always have your water with you. Stay away from the sugary drinks. It can get you in serious trouble really quick.
Altitude sickness and dehydration suck. So you want to make sure to be preventative on that. Force yourself to drink lots of water. Make sure that you're, taking your time with the altitude. While you're in Utah, you need to be drinking a lot more water.
Definitely put this trail on your list. It's worth the challenge. Even if you got your little passenger car, one of the things that you're going to want to put on the list is the Elephant Hill Road. It's a pretty well maintained gravel road. The scenery is worth it. Like, this is part of the adventure for sure. And you don't even have to have a high-rise vehicle for it. This park is known for overlanding. When you get to the Mesa section of Canyonlands, you can't even take a regular car there. You have to have a high-rise vehicle, and you have to get permits to even go back in there. And it's some of the most remote parts of the United States.
That being said, don't let it deter you to come to this park. I think that's part of why you and I haven't been here yet, is because we thought, oh, well, it's farther. We have to
have a four-wheel drive.
Yeah, or be a mountain biker, or in better shape.
Well, the in better shape would definitely help.
Yeah.
Round as a shape.
You've come to the end of the road. Do you wonder what's out there? This curiosity has driven human exploration for millennia. A wild and untamed landscape begins where the pavement ends. We often refer to places where human impacts are minimal as wilderness. What does that mean? The Wilderness Act of 1964 defines wilderness as an area where the earth and its community of life are untrammeled by man, where man himself is a visitor who does not remain. The landscape ahead appears to fit that description. However, human impacts on air quality and climate are affecting the natural processes at work here. Does this change your view of Canyonlands' wilderness? President Lyndon B. Johnson said of the Wilderness Act, "If future generations are to remember us with gratitude rather than contempt, we must leave them with something more than the miracles of technology. We must leave them a glimpse of the world as it was in the beginning, not just after we got through with it." Here at the end of the road, we encourage you to step into the wilderness and explore what it means to you.
We're doing a quick 1.5 mile hike. It is Elephant Hill Trailhead.
Which also is the trailhead from a few other longer hikes. Like we're talking like 7-10 miles.
For this part of Canyonlands, you're going to want to give yourself at least one full day. What we have done is set out to do a bunch of little hikes, some amazing scenery drives, see as much of the park as we can one day. Then tomorrow, we'll go to a different section of the park, because that's what kind of makes this park kind of difficult, is navigating this park. It's probably one of the more difficult parks to navigate, and you do need more time to see the different sections of the park as well. Okay, I'll put it on.
You can twerk.
I'll wait till you see it at the edit.
No, that is for you.
You want me to help you down, or what?
Yeah, I want you to go down first, and then I'm going to follow you.
And then you're going to fall on me? That doesn't even sound appealing. We're going to go ahead and rate this one as a moderate hike as well. I would not call this one easy just because of the staircase that you have to go up and down to get to and from. It's challenging, but definitely challenge yourself to walk down and take the stairs, the rock stairs.
I mean, you want to challenge yourself, but you don't want it
Yeah,
to be
don't
impossible.
Don't hurt yourself. If this is past your limit, don't do it. What's also nice about this trail is the fact that the 1.5 out and back is completely up to you. You don't have to go the whole way. Once you get to the top, you go as far as you feel like you need to go and then turn around and come back. It can be as short a hike as you like. Definitely make it to the top because the views are spectacular. Have you seen the movie 127 Hours with James Franco?
It's 7 o'clock here in Canyonland, USA.
Is it true? You didn't tell anyone where you were going.
Yeah, this place will kill you quick. And it's a true story.
It would have killed him had he not cut his arm off.
I don't know if I could have done it.
I don't know if I could have done it either.
Could you cut a body part off? We're on a 0.6 of a mile out and back hike. It's called the Pothole Trail.
Wet or dry, the potholes teem with life, so please avoid walking on these depressions to protect the delicate organisms that live there. The sandstone along this trail has not eroded evenly. Weakly acidic rainwater collects in surface depressions and dissolves the rock cementing material, making shallow depressions deeper. As water sits, an ecosystem comes to life, which are the pothole dwellers. There are the escapers, which are mosquitoes, adult tadpole shrimp, and fairy shrimp, and spadefoot toads. They cannot tolerate dehydration. For them, potholes are a convenient place to breed and lay drought-tolerant eggs. Then we have the tolerators, the rotifers and shrimp eggs. They can withstand an almost complete loss of body water. Microscopic tardigrades slow their metabolism to 0.1% of normal. Whoa.
That's crazy.
And they form a waxy cyst to protect their remaining moisture. Some tolerators can rehydrate and become fully functional in as little as 30 minutes after it rains.
Wow.
Then we have the resistors, snails and mites. They use a waterproof outer layer to prevent desiccation. Some have a shell or exoskeleton that prevents water loss, while others burrow and seal themselves in layers of mud. When potholes dry out, life doesn't end. It hides.
Okay, take a break. You can't breathe. Give yourself a breather.
What? You have that documented on film? That Wayne is giving April a break? Yeah.
You don't get to use that. You don't get to use that. This is a fun one. I like all the boulders.
Yeah.
Feel like you're in bedrock. Meet the Flintstones. If you're out here in the summer, you might want to think about wearing a long sleeve shirt, maybe something that's sun protected, because it gets really, really hot out here in the summer. Temperature was supposed to only raise to about 46 degrees today, and I'll tell you what, it feels really warm in the sun.
But once that breeze kicks up, boy.
It's a little chilly. But if you come out here in the summer, it's the opposite. It's crazy hot. This is a high desert.
Apply sunscreen regularly. Wear hats.
Yeah, I should be wearing a hat. I don't like wearing hats. The Pothole hike is definitely an easy hike. Put it on there. It's only 0.6 of a mile. It's a round trip. Beautiful views the whole way.
Some uneven terrain to be mindful of, but nothing most can't manage.
Yeah, there's a little bit of uneven terrain, but it's not bad. And so we're back to the car. We just left the Pothole and we're on our way to Slick Rock. We left the hardest for last. 2.5 mile loop. This is Slick Rock Trail.
Here's viewpoint 1, trail that way.
Okay, we're gonna go do the viewpoint first.
Take an image of that because people frequently get lost on this trail. But I guess it's viewpoint 4 that's the hard one.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, the greatest thing is, look at this. It's just us. I love the snow-capped mountains behind the red rocks and the green rocks and the green bushes and the beautiful blue skies. Okay, viewpoint 1. Like it.
Regardless of what time of year you come on your Utah's Mighty 5 trip, you're going to want to bring layers to wear. It's a high desert, so temperatures can be quite extreme. Plus, the weather changes rapidly here. So best to be prepared.
Well, and tell about the altitude. See, April's out of breath because of the fact that we're at a much higher altitude. So every step that you take is much more difficult than sea level. Start out with some easy hikes, especially when you come out to Utah, because of the fact that we have a lot higher elevation than what most people are used to, which makes hiking obviously a little bit more difficult than normal walking around your neighborhood at sea level. Something you can do to help yourself is obviously avoid a little bit of alcohol, drink lots of water, take an aspirin every morning to thin the blood so you can stay more oxygenated.
All right, here's the cairn.
Okay.
There's the cairn.
You guys are probably wondering, what are some of the real secrets of Utah?
Off the beaten path, less touristy.
Just fun adventures to go do. Have you ever heard of rock hounding? Check out the card above of time that I went rock hounding in a crystal cave.
Right out. That's pretty.
Yeah. There's some purple in it right there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you got that. Look at it's a little gemmy stripe right there.
Oh,
See the crystals in it?
yeah.
Good one.
Come out to any of the national parks, especially Utah's national parks. Don't hike alone. It is too dangerous. During the summer, it's not as bad because, there's hordes of people. If you get to some of the more remote stuff, that can be dangerous. I don't know how many times I've fallen down mountains. I fell down a mountain in Africa and Morocco.
Wait! Oh, shit! Are you okay? Oh my God, are you okay?
No, he's okay, he's okay.
We were in Acadia National Park. I fell down a mountain there.
Oh, fuck! Ugh. Okay, that's twice.
In Guatemala, I fell down an active volcano. Oh, that hurt like hell.
Okay.
There's a couple things that make this thing not the easiest trail. We're gonna definitely call this an upper intermediate hike. You have to really navigate the cairns. You also have to really pay attention to the climbing up and down the boulders, the slick rock, which with the dry and you got hiking boots, it actually sticks pretty well. It's just a matter of trusting the equipment. This is our third viewpoint, which is an amazing canyon. It looks like the start of the Grand Canyon, really. It probably could be. Who knows? It's awesome though. Worth going out to the viewpoint on the third one was a little difficult, but
Yeah.
it was worth it. Even though those trees look dead, some of those trees can be 1,600 years old and still have life in them. Look at this. Wow. And this is why you travel. That fourth viewpoint was even harder to get to, but do it. It's worth the view. It's definitely been a rock scramble. Look at you, all balanced like. You don't have to look pretty when you're hiking, you just have to get it done. And just like that, that was one intense hike.
Just like that?
It's,
Again?
in the edit, it's super easy.
Do it again.
This was an amazing hike. It was not easy, but it was challenging, but it was worth it. Today was the perfect itinerary for Needles, the section of Needles and Canyonlands for one day. And I'll tell you what, we're whooped. Definitely time for dinner and a whiskey.
And a wine.
The Needles Visitor Center is
106 or 2.5 miles away from the Island in the Sky Visitor Center.
which is almost 2 hours. We're staying the night in Monticello, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from the visitor center. And if you want to go to Moab, an hour and 30 minutes. We're We're in the island of the sky at Canyonlands. So the big difference between where we were at when we went to Needles is at the Needles, you're down in the valleys, you're in the rocks, you're on the valley floor, where Island in the Sky, you're on the very top, the plateau, looking down on everything. They're two totally different perspectives.
To clarify, over there, you're not necessarily on the valley floor, because remember, there were places we were still looking down.
Yeah, we were still looking down.
But we were more in it and amongst it than over here.
This is Schaefer Overlook. It's like one of the first things right after you get to the visitor center. Easy walk from the parking lot to Overlook. So we are way the heck up here.
It drops 1,400 feet.
Wow. It'd be fun to come back here with a Jeep or something fun off-road wise. Side-by-side or four-wheeler. Or time to get an adventure bike and go on that.
Canyonlands is a more remote national park, so it's very important to have everything you might need. Enough water, enough food.
When you're out west, my rule of thumb is if you get to a half a tank of gas, you need to put gas in the car. There can be long distances between towns. Utah is not like the East Coast. It is a lot of very small towns, very far away from each other, and very unhospitable environment if you break down. There's only 3 million people that live in the whole state. Most of them either live in the very north or the very south.
We're on a quick 0.6 of a mile hike. This is probably the most famous one of Canyonlands, which is the Mesa Arch Trail. I read a bunch of blogs on it. And
Hey,
wait.
I did.
April did a bunch of research on it. Everybody says you need to get there at about 3 o'clock in the morning to get the best spot for sunrise.
Well, no one really specified a time. It at least 2 hours early. You can't play off of I'll get there 30 minutes early and be okay.
Get here early, crazy early. We chose not to.
We'll appreciate other people's photography.
After yesterday, I was wrecked anyway.
Yeah.
Needles wore us out.
Ah, beautiful.
It's the off season and there's still a horde of people here.
This is off. It's shoulder. Shoulder because it's spring break for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Off to me is winter.
The parking lot is really small. We're here in the shoulder season and we barely got a spot.
First thing in the morning. Well,
yeah.
Around 10. Canyonlands' lowest point is 3,730 feet at the Colorado River, and the highest point is 7,120 feet at Cathedral Point. So quite a difference.
Obviously, hiking at the Island in the Sky is a lot harder because of the elevation that you're at. You're a lot higher at altitude. You look at a lot of the hikes here and they're all very advanced, long, 8, 10, 12
They're not
miles.
all.
A lot are.
Most.
Pick one day that's, your heavy hiking day. Put this one on the next day to where it's a little bit relaxed so you can let those muscles recover.
Are you letting your muscles recover, Wayne?
My muscles are fried.
Yeah.
All the different overlooks are pretty easy to get to. You just pull up, walk out, take the scenic view.
These last couple are wheelchair accessible. They're paved.
This is the Buck Canyon Overlook.
When you're driving out here in the desert, you want to pay attention for the deer, the elk, the porcupines, the rabbits. There are a lot of creatures out here. You wouldn't think that because you're out in the desert, but there are tons of animals out here.
The desert is actually quite alive. It's teeming with wildlife.
So kind of watch your speed limit. I know you get complacent when you're on the interstate and they're all 80 miles an hour and you're flying everywhere, but when you get on the back roads, they don't have any of the fences to hold back the animals from coming out onto the roads.
All right, so we're doing a quick hike. 1.1 is going to be a pretty easy hike, hopefully. It's rated moderate.
Moderate, and then we'll let you know why after we experience it. Probably because there is some slick rock on the second overlook, and it's steep, and we're feeling the altitude here on this one.
Yeah, lots of stairs.
Yeah, and they're not just little stairs, they're like big giant knees to the nose stairs, at least for me and my short legs. Oh wow, that's awesome.
Oh, look at the colors. Oh my goodness. The color is amazing.
The rock layers below are tilted and fractured, forming a circular depression more than 2 miles wide. How did it form? Scientists propose 2 potential causes: a salt dome that cracked and tilted the rock over time, or a violent meteorite impact that instantly fractured the rock. Recent findings support the meteorite hypothesis, but questions remain.
So this is the point that we're going to go up to see the viewpoint We're gonna climb this big boulder right here. It's crazy windy up here. We can do it.
Okay, well then you need to get behind me.
I'll keep it filming in case you fly off.
Hey,
I have it documented. Like
beautiful
100.
views, but I'm in a hurricane.
You feel like you can get blown away?
Yes.
All right, let's make it back before you fly away. Your jacket's like puffing up like a sail. You're like one of the weather forecasters in a hurricane.
Yes, that's what I feel like. Upheaval Dome, at least that second viewpoint, with today's crazy wind, there were parts of it that was reminding me of Angel's Landing. And then the wind element, I would rate it definitely a higher level moderate, but that's me. And then the wind, there were more than a few times I was like down low, holding out my arms. What did I look like?
Weeble wobble.
But they don't usually have their arms out.
Yeah, weeble wobbles don't have arms.
I know, that's
they
why
still
I'm
don't
saying.
fall down though.
That's why I'm saying, what did I look like with my arms out, I wonder. Below, because I'm sure he'll put in a clip, because I'm his clown. I'm curious to know why it's called Island in the Sky, how it got its name.
You see the cows? This is open range land. What that basically boils down to is the farmers just let their cattle run. So they're on the roads out here
They
anytime
can do what they want.
and they are not very smart creatures. Just all of a sudden they see your car and they take off after it. So pay attention. You don't want to hit one of those. We're going over to the Green River Overlook now.
Oh wow, crazy! Look at
Wow.
that. It makes the Grand Canyon look tiny.
No, it doesn't.
It does. Look.
Does it?
Look how far that is.
I mean,
It's different. We're out here on the Grand View trail hike now. What is it, about 6,080 feet, looking down upon the huge canyon. This is the Grand View. This trail is supposed to be a moderate hike, 1 mile out, 1 mile back. So far, it's a really pretty hike. It's been pretty easy, pretty flat, couple of stairs.
couple of stairs. There's a lot of stairs. There are a lot of stairs. And they're big stairs in some places. That sun came out.
Yeah, I got hot all of a sudden too. That's why you have layers when you come out to Canyonlands.
You know, you have layers when you come out to any of Utah's mighty 5 national parks.
The weather changes fast. Look at this. Makes you feel small. Looks like a painting.
What does that mean to you?
Just so beautiful.
Like
natural. Yeah, it's like living in a
Art.
painting. Yeah, I'm in art right now. We're here at Island in the Skies in Canyonlands, and yesterday we were over at Needles, which is the lower part of the canyon. Today we're doing the upper part of the canyon, and you can really feel that elevation on the hikes today. It will leave you winded quick.
You know what vibes it's giving me?
What's that?
It's like walk along the rim at Bryce Canyon.
Oh yeah.
Is it pretty paved in most?
Now it is.
You know how it is, though. You know, at Bryce, we love to get down in it.
Yep.
This is stunning.
Easy trail to put on the list.
And the beauty is you don't have to do it all. It's just an out and back. So go tell where your vibe ends and then turn back.
Or just sit on a rock. Pond for life.
Meditate. That was awesome. I felt so good. Took me a minute to clear the
Yeah.
out of my brain, shut it down.
Shut it down. Yeah. This park is windy.
But over here, it's been not so bad
Yeah, in places.
in places at times.
When planning your trip to Island in the Sky, it's just outside of Moab, so you can stay in Moab easily. We're going to stay the night tonight in Green River, which is a small town just off of I-70. As far as time that you need in Island in the Sky, if you just want to do some of the scenic drives, a couple easy hikes, and a lot of the overlook, 1 full day is perfect. We spent 6 hours there. I think we could have spent a little bit more time there, but the 6 hours was perfect for me.
Yeah, especially after yesterday.
Yeah, this was a good plan to do the Needles first. Just totally kick your butt on all the different rock scrambles, the crazy hike, then take the easy scenic drive day with a few hikes.
I mean, not all the hikes kicked our butt yesterday.
No,
It was
but when
mostly,
you added them all
Yeah.
up.
and then that last one.
Yeah, Slick Rock.
Rock.
Slick Rock was a rock scramble. We're in the little town of Green River. There's not a whole lot here. Anytime I come through this area, I always stop and go get me a burger at Ray's Tavern. All right, we're pulling up at Ray's Tavern. Gonna get the best burger in Utah.
This is a must.
Look at all the stuff on it.
That's a bird. We're out here on the scenic drive in Arches. We just got into the park, and when you come in that grand entrance, oh, it's amazing.
The scenic drive is the main road that goes throughout the park, and it's about 18 miles long. It does go to a dead end, and you can turn around and come back.
But there's so many stops along the way. The thing with this park is you got to remember there's documented 2,000 arches in this park. You can spend a very long time in this park and not see it all.
A lot of the arches are inaccessible for the layman person. They're, some of them are in the backcountry.
We're going to go do a hike at Park Avenue. It's the first stop.
Park Avenue is a great, easy, nice warm-up hike. The trail goes down into a spectacular canyon and continues to Courthouse Towers. For a round-trip hike, retrace your steps rather than walking along the road. And to avoid stairs, you can start first at Courthouse Tower.
Just something magical about being down here in these national parks. You're in a totally different world. It's not like anything that you get to experience back east, or heck, in most parts of the world, you don't see stuff like this.
Arches is considered a high desert, so it can be very, very hot in the summer and then very, very cold in the winter.
Also cold at night.
And also cold at night. Great extremes in temperatures.
And it's also known for its night skies.
Why does it say protect park soils? Do you know?
Yeah, because there is a microbacteria that lives here.
The soil is alive. It has a living biological crust helping to protect it, withstanding erosion. The crust includes cyanobacteria, lichen, mosses, green algae, and microfungi. It keeps the soil particles together and helps it be more resistant to erosion.
As you can see, this environment is very harsh. Well, and this land wasn't made for millions of people to show up every day, too. There's 11 million people a year that show up to just Utah's Mighty Five. Here's the crazy thing. There's only 3 million people that live in the whole state of Utah.
This environment is strong, fiercely strong, but there are parts of it that are also very delicately in balance to maintain itself, to keep it alive, to keep it resistant to erosion. So that's why it's so important to respect.
Stay on the trail.
We should respect our national parks anyway. These are our treasures.
We're here before the intense crowds, right?
And we're here before they start the pilot program for the timed entry starting April 1st. You can enter the park before 7 a.m. and after 4 p.m. without a reservation. Go to recreation.gov to make your reservations, and there is a $2 a day fee in addition to the park entrance fee,
Which is not covered under your National Parks Pass.
A limited number of tickets will be available for purchase one day prior to entry at 7 p.m. You do need a reservation each day that you plan to enter the park. Motorcycles do require a timed entry reservation. However, up to 2 motorcycles arriving together at the same time can use one ticket.
Yeah, you can ride your bicycle into the park.
Bicycles do not require a timed entry.
And you can even walk in if you want, but it's a long walk for that 18 miles in the hot sun each way. The lines stay busy to get in the entrance, so you will be waiting in line typically for an hour or more.
Even with your timed entry reservation plan, there is no time limit to how long you can stay in the park once you enter. But if you want to try and sneak in the park before 7 a.m., then plan on arriving at 6:30 a.m. And then there's always after 4 p.m.
What's nice about Balance Rock is it's accessible to pretty much anybody. As you can see, this is just an easy stroll, nice paved pathway. I remember when this was gravel, actually.
That's kind of nice they did this. They've made this area accessible.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. We came here years ago and this was all gravel. Now you can easily, take a wheelchair out here, or if somebody's handicapped, get them out here on this to at least see it. This thing is so huge.
It is 128 feet tall and weighs about as much as 20 blue whales.
You want to know the top easy strolls, hikes in Arches are Balance Rock, Window's Primitive Loop, which is a mile, and you get to see the 3 arches on that.
Park Avenue Trail is about a mile, has amazing views. Skyline Arch is a 0.4 mile round trip out and back walk that's mostly flat, but it does have some steps at the beginning. The Sand Dune Arch Trail, Tower Arch, and Landscape Arch Trail.
What's cool about arches is that just everywhere you look, it seems like it's just a painting. Like somebody came out here and just painted this. It doesn't look real.
Guess how many school buses Ballots Rock is tall? Let us know in the comments below what you think. The vault toilets in the national parks are not always well stocked with toilet paper and or hand sanitizer, so we suggest having some in your vehicle just in case.
If you're bringing your RV, we suggest leave the RV at the campground that you're staying at for the night. Don't try to drag it through here. This place gets so crazy in the summer. RVs up to 40 foot are permitted on the park roads and arches. The problem is parking is very, very limited.
Even for vehicles
Yeah.
of a normal size.
And if you're bringing a 40-foot motorhome, you're probably better off to bring your car with you and use your personal vehicle through the park. We're here in the shoulder season, and it's still busy. It's just really tight, a lot of people.
For the camping, they have sites that range from 20 to 40 feet at Devil's Garden Campground. The maximum is 40 feet.
It's dry camping.
Landscape Arch Trail is 1.8 miles. It's an easier hike, and it's my favorite arch in the park. Highly recommended, of course. Well, the Devil's Garden has multiple trailhead within it.
One of my favorite trails is the Primitive Trail, but that is a very difficult hike. It is a technical hike. If you're not an expert hiker, then don't know if I would put that one on the list or not. It's easy to get lost on that trail.
Not just get lost, there were some precarious places.
Oh yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's definitely technical. It's strenuous. And it's one of the longer hikes in the park as well.
Come with me, you'll see.
Made it to Landscape Arch. So this one is 306 feet from end to end. It's one of the largest arches in the world.
Nice that the footsteps go from gravelly gravel to the...
The silence of the sand, yeah. I've never seen it at this light. I've always seen it earlier in the day. So it's kind of nice to see it at this time of day.
Better in person than on camera.
Always better in person. When's your trip to the Mighty Five?
Fun fact.
There's 4 different types of arches in Arches National Park.
Natural bridges, potholes, freestanding,
Wall arches. We're here at Landscape Arch. I think this is the perfect time of day to come. This is the best I've ever seen it.
yeah.
We've come to this arch multiple times during the day. This is late afternoon, a couple hours before sunset, and the arch is standing out right at you, where different times of the day, it's actually hard to see. It almost looks camouflaged.
It's an illusion.
Well, just a couple minutes ago, it was an illusion. You couldn't hardly see it.
One of my most favorite things about Utah's Mighty Five national parks is that they are these massive, mind-blowing places with incredible views and sights. They are also juxtaposed to how the teeny tiny little soils and plants and little life forms and the little aquatic are also vital to the life of these massive, amazing parks.
You look around and sometimes you think, oh, everything's dead. But it's actually the opposite. Everything's so alive, much more alive than you would even think.
Yeah, it manifests itself differently in this terrain.
But it is hard for it to survive. So stay on the trail. Please stay on the trail, guys. We're here early in the season and we see so many people already not on the trails, just doing whatever.
The nature cannot sustain and leave no trace. By golly, don't leave your coffee cup on the parking lot ground.
Take your garbage with you. Pack it in, pack it out.
If you're driving your motorhome or you're towing your fifth wheel or travel trailer, something you want to pay attention to when you get out west is the wind reports. Out here, especially in Utah, on the way to the Mighty Five, there's nothing to stop the wind. So it gets incredibly windy out here to where it'll flip over 18-wheelers. And so a lot of people get caught not realizing that the wind is a real problem, especially if you're not used to dragging your 40-foot trailer. It's definitely something to pay attention to. If you have a travel trailer, I would highly suggest putting on the stabilizers to help with the wind as well. Make sure that you bring some paper maps with you or download the maps into your phone because you will lose service throughout Utah. Utah doesn't have a lot of cell service throughout the state.
Well, especially in the parks, but we love that fact.
It is nice to detach. If you're going from Arches to Capitol Reef, you can do a little quick detour to Goblin Valley State Park. It's a very fun place to go. You swear you're on a different planet. Highly suggest putting this on your list. Basically, it is rock formations. They're called hoodoos. They're a little bit different than Bryce Canyon's hoodoos.
They're sandstone formations that resemble goblins or hoodoos. They are mushroom-shaped rock pinnacles that were formed by the gradual erosion of Entrada sandstone over 170 million years.
It is
24 miles off of I-70, and it's about an hour and a half away from Arches National Park. And you can take that route to Bryce Canyon too.
Anyway, this is definitely one that you want to put on the list. I think it costs to get into the park $20 entrance fee.
It's amazing. We say that a lot. All these places are unearthly, like you're on another planet, but it is so freaking true. And it is just mind-blowing. It's fun to see the similarities and the differences from park to park, whether it be state or national.
Yeah, the state changes rapidly.
Moab isn't necessarily go travel on the cheap friendly anymore, folks. So
Yep.
we stay farther out to then backtrack back into Arches.
So that's why we're staying in Green River tonight. We're in Capitol Reef doing the scenic drive on the way to the visitor center.
A lot of people skip Capitol Reef, which you shouldn't.
Yeah, definitely don't skip Capitol Reef. It's one of my more favorite parks because everybody skips it.
Well, then maybe you should keep skipping it.
Maybe just skip the
Just
park.
skip it.
Just don't go. Something that you should do is talk to the rangers and get a good game plan for the day. They'll also tell you what you need to know.
They're fantastically friendly. They're very helpful. You can get a gauge, ahead of time online what you might want to do, but it's nice to pop in and just get their, 2 cents for the day. They might have something to offer that you didn't either know about or consider. Any of Utah's Mighty 5 national parks, depending on what you're going to be doing, you want to check and see if there are going to be any permits or
Follow the rules of what the national park says you're supposed to do when you get here. Along the scenic drive, there's all kinds of neat things to stop and do. You can stop and look at the petroglyphs. I always suggest checking the petroglyphs out, and that is an ADA accessible thing as well. But we're going to stop and make a detour to get the best national park pie. Oh yeah, you heard me right. National Park pie. The Gifford House is known for their pies. They have a fruit orchard and Fruta grow a lot of the fruit for the pies right there.
they've been growing it there for hundreds of years.
And the trick to the pie is once they run out of the pie, they're done for the day. So get there early.
Got me some national park pie. Best part of Capitol Reef.
Look at that.
And a little ice cream.
Mm-mm-mm.
They have several flavors to choose from. It does depend on the time of year. We got cherry. Mmm. 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 Oh yeah. That is how cherry pie should taste. Right there.
There you go. Get here early.
Yep, we're here at, what time is it?
10:49. How is the pie?
So fantastically tasty. Easily one of the top 3 pies I have ever had in my life. And that's saying a lot because when I can, I eat a lot of pie.
You are a pie consumer, that's for sure.
Pie connoisseur. I love pie. It makes me happy when it's done right. And they do it right here. If you have the opportunity to explore Capitol Reef in a 4-wheel drive vehicle, they have miles of trails that are more remote, yet part of the park lands that are incredible. We did some of it back in 2018. It's awesome.
You do need a high-rise vehicle.
Yeah.
And 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
A little Subaru really isn't going to cut it.
No.
We took a Subaru on it. And it
We
was,
only went so far,
we didn't get it very far.
but it was still
It was fun.
really cool what we did do and see.
As you can see, you get into the dirt roads. A lot of them you can handle with the car, but definitely check with the ranger stations of which ones that you need a high clearance vehicle for.
There's a lot of information online.
We're out here on the Capitol Gorge Trail. Capitol Gorge Trail is 2 miles round trip. Since we're in a canyon, let's talk about slot canyons. Slot canyons are really cool, but they're incredibly dangerous as well.
They can be.
You need to pay attention to the weather 3-4 days in advance and within 50-mile radius of where you're going to go slot canyon, because flash floods, especially in the springtime, happen very rapidly. There's hardly any warning, and a rain 50 miles away can cause that flash flood.
The weather turns out here on a dime, and it is not something to be taken lightly, whether you're in a national park. Here in Capitol Reef, there's many wash areas that you need to stay out of depending on the weather, or if you're in a slot canyon. Slot canyons are incredibly cool.
If you aren't an experienced hiker, then you can always try to find a guide to take you into a canyon or take canyoneering classes before you come out.
Depends on how extreme you want to go.
Something, if you want to go to a good slot canyon to start out with, is right down the road from Capitol Reef is Leprechaun Canyon. Card above for the video.
Preparing for our Utah's Mighty 5 National Park trip, I found a fun fact, especially for Wayne. Capitol Reef was originally named Wayne Wonderland, as it's partially in Wayne County.
In 1920s, before it became a national monument, and
1937 by Franklin D. Roosevelt.
kind of a fun fact.
Wayne Wonderland, and it's Wayne's favorite national park in Utah.
That's right. This is where the pioneers etched their names and years that they were here on the wall, and some after. 1912,
1885.
1916, 1888.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, where? Oh yeah, 1800. Now it's considered graffiti, and you can get in serious trouble if you mark on those walls.
Do not do that. It's no laughing matter.
National parks will not play with you if you deface it. Protect the national parks when you're here. Respect them. Take your garbage out with you. Don't forget to, whatever you hike in, hike out. The highest point in Capitol Reef is 11,000 foot. Wow.
It's an average elevation of about 5,500 feet in Capitol Reef, but it varies from about 4,000 to 11,000 feet. Many trails start at about 5,000 feet.
The Capitol Gorge Trail is a really easy hike to start out with. It's on the flat riverbed.
You have to watch your step, and there's rocks and gravel, but it's fairly flat. I think there's barely any elevation gain.
It's not strenuous whatsoever, except for when you trip over yourself or a rock.
Taking in this spectacular beauty.
When you bring your pets to any of the national parks, your best bet is to really just get them boarded in the closest town that you can find boarding.
You don't want to leave them in the cars at all.
Yeah, especially in the summertime because it gets so hot.
Even if you do crack or open a window.
Yeah, it's a desert.
Make sure to check out each national park's specific rules about pet.
Yeah.
Each has a few places that you can bring them within reason, and their website is super user-friendly.
Their website will also tell you about road closures or any other warnings or problems in the park.
Yeah, give you current information. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be more than happy to help you as we can.
Whenever you get to any of the national parks, though, don't just sit in the car. Get out and get on a hike, even if it's an easy one.
Well, what if I can't hike, Wayne?
If you can't hike, wheelchair up to some of the ADA ones.
We know for some, you may be limited in your physical abilities. Hike or climb or mountain bike or canyoneer. We encourage you to do what you can within reason. Get outside of your comfort zone just a smidge if you can. There are at least a few accessible areas at each of these Utah's Mighty 5 national parks. Open the window, feel the breeze, taste the sand in your mouth like we did yesterday.
A lot of sand in my mouth yesterday.
And the visitor centers are chock full of information and friendly rangers that'll answer loads of questions. Sometimes these parks have, a free movie to watch, short movie.
Junior Ranger program.
Yes, and other ranger programs for the whole family or for adults.
Yeah, check it.
Many kids, hell, even older kids like, 12, 13, 14. Maybe at first might stick their nose up at the Junior Ranger program, but kind of get into it and the Rangers will get them excited and...
Hands-on learning.
Yeah, while having an adventure, exploring and enjoying. What we love about Capitol Reef National Park so much is it has a more natural feeling in the park.
I think it's just because it's on the dirt roads, you feel like you're on a real adventure. Real adventures start on dirt roads.
Yes. But even the paved roads, they're not they're very minimal. It usually has less crowds than others in Utah's Mighty 5.
You just have to remember that these parks are much bigger than what you think. And if you want to get outside the car and explore, you need time. It takes time to do these hikes.
And you might be thinking they are big parks, but then when you're in it, it's like, wowza.
Oh, yeah. The park's a lot more than just driving, that's for sure. Get out, get on the hikes. It's what makes it.
How many days would you recommend for Capitol Reef, Wayne?
I think if you're going to be doing the scenic drives in, let's say, 5
Moderate.
easy to moderate hikes, I would say 2 to 3 days would be perfect. We've come to Capitol Reef so many times, and we hardly ever did the same thing twice. So
It depends on your skill level. If you're talking 5 hikes, that could take some people, 3 days easily.
yeah. One of our favorite trails is Cassidy Arch Trail, named after the outlaw Butch Cassidy. This is one of his hideouts that he used to use back in the day. What's cool about this arch, you can walk across the top of the arch. Cassidy Arch Trail is a 3.1 mile out and back with 685 feet of elevation gain. This one's definitely a moderate hike. It is a little strenuous in places, and you have to pay attention to the currents for navigation. Pickman Natural Bridge, that is a great hike. I would definitely say this is an upper moderate hike, is a 1.7 mile out and back.
Worth doing though. Take your time.
Cohab Canyon Trail is a really great hike too. And if you want to try a small slot canyon, they have a couple small slot canyons on this trail as well.
It's definitely a moderate trail. It's about 3 miles with some elevation gain.
There's 2 different ways to get on this trail. You can start at the campground, which is a much more difficult hike because you're going straight uphill.
You can start across the street from the Hickman Bridge trailhead, which was what we did and what we recommend.
We're inside Capitol Reef on the scenic drive. It's a 7.9 mile paved road, but it's all the little side dirt roads that make the park. And then you also have Highway 24 that is a scenic drive all on its own. Goes all kinds of different little pullouts that you can look at, and overlooks like Panorama Point and Gooseneck overlooks. These are both pretty easy. Park the car, just walk a little ways out and get the spectacular views.
Gooseneck's overlook is just a real short walk from the end of the road. Here you overlook Sulphur Creek about 800 feet below you, and you can totally see why they call the curves in the creek goosenecks.
Sunset Point is a good place to end the day. But
There's a reason why it's called Sunset Point. The sunset illuminates beautiful Capitol Reef.
It's an easy trail. It's only 0.8 of a mile round trip. This is where flash floods come through. These little dry riverbeds or creek beds. You can see that recently it looks like it had water in it within the last probably 24 to 48 hours.
It's very important if there is any potential of a storm to pay attention and do not enter certain areas in the park like the Grand Wash.
Especially in the springtime, because you got melting snow, you've got rain, and it can flow from 50, 60 miles away easily to get here.
At the Fruta campground, there are 71 sites. There's no individual water, sewage, or electrical hookups. There's an RV dump and potable water fill station near the entrance. From March 1st to October 31st is 100% reservation. There's lots of dispersed land around Capitol Reef outside of the park camp.
Yeah, if you're actually wanting to learn a little bit more about BLM camping or free camping, check out the card above for learning about BLM camping. We give you everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
The distances between the parks, it can be quite long drives, and as you can see, they're in the middle of nowhere.
They're beautiful.
They're beautiful. After you've been hiking all day, you've been out in the sun, you're at high altitude, and you are just quite frankly whooped, give yourself more travel time in between the parks. You're going to need it because the elevation is going to take a toll on your body. The extreme hiking, and even if you're just doing small hikes, some of those hikes that maybe are just a half-mile hike, because they're at high altitude, they really take it out of your body, so you feel it.
Even if you're not hiking and you're just doing, the scenic drives in the parks and overlooks, you're still going to want to give yourself ample time, extra time. It always is going to take longer than you think it will, whether it be you just want to linger more in the beauty or you get sidetracked off of the road for a little bit.
Something cool to stop and look at.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming into the big town of Torrey now.
It's
I
a big
don't
town.
I don't know what the population is, but I'm sure it's not a lot. If you're here in the peak season, you definitely want to have a reservation where you're going to stay. Whether you're RV camping, if you're going to go out and do BLM camping, that's a different story. You need to do your own research on that. We're coming into the town of Torrey, which is pretty much your first town closest to Capitol Reef. You also have on the other side of Capitol Reef, you have Hanksville as well.
If you're at Capitol Reef, go to Bicknell to get some curry pizza.
Absolutely. We started eating there like 6 years ago. It's super good.
Oh, it's so tasty.
Especially after traveling to India.
Since then, yeah.
Yeah. Curry pizza is where Indian cuisine meets American pizza. You get these amazing curry sauces with fresh vegetables. You can also get just a plain pepperoni pizza if you want, but they take pizza to the next level. We're on our way to Bryce Canyon National Park. When you're going between Capitol Reef and Bryce Canyon, or Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef, either way, when you're going between the two parks, it's about 30 minutes longer. You need to take scenic Highway 12. It is worth the extra 30-minute drive. Honestly, you're going to take even more time because you're going to want to stop at all the different overlooks. So plan on about an hour and a half out of the way, depending on how long you spend at each overlook. Well, this is springtime in Utah. It's snowing. We are in higher elevation. We left, and as you can see, we're going over the passes. But what's nice about going from park to park is the fact that the scenery changes all the time. I mean, it's always changing. As you can see, it's snowing. We stopped to see the scenic overlook. It's March 29th, to give you an idea. So you see this 14% grade sign? So that basically means how steep the road is. 14% is incredibly straight up and down. Give you an idea, most bridges are 2 to 3%. So 14%, you want to really pay attention to not riding your brakes down this and using your gears in your car to slow yourself down. You do not want to catch your brakes on fire. Be cautious of how often you're touching your brakes. This road is like on top of the world. We have been on a ton of scenic byways around the world, and I can tell you this, I have never seen a road changes its topography so rapidly. I mean, we were just in the snow-capped mountains with pine trees, and now we're in the Capitol domes. Terrain changes so fast in Utah. You an idea of how fast the weather changes out here. When we were packing on Monday, the weather forecast for Bryce, which is the highest part of the trip, we will reach 9,000 feet out here. As you can see, there's still plenty of snow. When we were looking at the forecast, it said it was going to be in the upper 50s. Yeah, we'll be struggling to hit the 30s today.
With a wind chill.
So April's got double, triple clothes on. Look, so we're good.
Well, I don't know how good we'll be with that freaking wind chill. It is cranking.
It is windy, and it's projected there'll be a storm coming in by 2, so we've got to keep an eye on that. That is something to really pay attention to. Is, you know, you don't want to get out on a long hike and not be able to get back because it's a blizzard.
Well, this would probably be a frozen mix, which is, I think, worse because it's wet.
Yeah, because you'll be wet, yeah.
It's wetter.
In places, there's still anywhere from 6 inches to a foot of snow on the ground, and it's almost April 1st. It's what.
One thing to note is that Bryce is a high altitude park, whereas at Zion, even though the mileage isn't that far, Zion and Arch's visitor centers are 4,000 feet lower than where we're at here in Bryce. Something to consider. You want to be especially careful to avoid altitude sickness. Drink lots and lots of water.
Things that also can affect it is health conditions, obviously. If you've got heart issues or had strokes in the past or COPD, that will also play a role in it. And keep in mind, overexerting yourself. So 5-mile hike up here, you can pretty much bet that's a double 10-mile hike pretty much the rest of the country at sea level.
The higher you go, the less atmosphere there is pressing down, and the further apart oxygen molecules spread. As a result, at 8,000 feet, effective oxygen levels are about 75% of what's found at sea level. And as oxygen falls, the risk for altitude sickness goes up. Limit your exertion. Know your limits.
The thing with this park too is when you start off on the hikes here, most of the time you're at the top working your way down, which means you have to come back up.
Yes, what goes down must come up.
And each step at 8,000 foot is way harder to do than what you can imagine.
Going down is optional. Coming back up is mandatory. You want to live down there.
Not for long.
Bryce Canyon has a free shuttle system that runs April through October.
And you're pretty much, if you're in the height of the season, you're going to be pretty much in the shuttle. because there is not enough parking in any of these parks. In fact, that's the one thing that you're gonna wanna do when you come to any of the parks is have an A plan, that's your this is what I wanna do. A B plan, well, this will be good too. A C plan, well, okay, that'll work. And even a D plan, because our parks are very popular now.
Especially during peak seasons.
For those of you that are tent camping, car camping, Bryce Canyon actually has showers that you can take for $3 for 8-minute shower. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when you need some cleaning up. There are also showers at the truck stops in Green River. When you see all the little critters in the national park, please don't feed them. They get reliant on you feeding them, and then when no one's there in the wintertime, they starve and die. So please don't feed the animals.
It also takes away their wildness. Please do not feed the animals, no matter how tempting it is, because they're so cute and fun to watch. Do it from a distance. Respect their natural habitat and their wildness.
They're already way too comfortable with people around already. They like to ham it up for the cameras. Where are we at?
Bryce Canyon, Sunrise Point, as you can read. Elevation, 8,015 feet,
All right.
as you can read.
Wait and see how much you're huffing and puffing on the way back.
It is cold, it is windy.
I know.
We are going to freeze our patooties off. We brought gloves,
Hang on.
got beanies, and got jackets. Each time of the year has its own challenges with Utah parks. Come in the summer, it's the desert and it's the hot heat that just kills you. In the winter, it's the wind and the frigid cold. And this is spring, which could be hot one day, cold the next. And don't trust the forecast because it's never close to accurate. Today we're hiking Queen's Garden.
The real adventures are on the hikes.
You got to get out of the car and get amongst the hoodoos.
What are even hoodoos? Spires of rock, sculpted by the forces of nature over millions of years. They are the result of a unique combination of geology and erosion. The softer layers erode faster than the harder layers above, leaving behind these towering pillars. Bryce Canyon is so special simply because of the sheer number and variety of hoodoos found there. Hoodoos are so freaking cool.
I think what I like about the hoodoos the best is the fact that they're like these rock formations that are so brittle it could just completely fall away at any moment. But they've been standing there for millions of years.
Yeah, they're incredibly strong, but also very, very delicate.
It's kind of the theme of Utah National Parks.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get the experience of the hoodoos all by yourself, get on some of the longer hikes. In Bryce Canyon, everything starts at the top and works its way down. So it's sometimes better just to take the longer hikes, enjoy being down there, and just making a whole day of it. Pick one good long hike and take the whole day, lots of water, instead of having to trek up that hill every single time, because those treks up are difficult. Here's a couple that we suggest. Peekaboo is a strenuous hike. It does have 1,555 feet of elevation gain. So it is not an easy hike, but if you take your time and bring lots of water and lots of snacks with you, it is worth getting on this one if you can fit it into your schedule.
We're on the Fairyland Loop in Bryce Canyon National Park.
And why do you have to talk like that?
Because I am in amazing adventure mode on a different planet.
We're actually headed to Tower Bridge right now, which is part of the Fairyland Loop.
I know a lot of you are going to want to just drive the top, overlook views, and don't get me wrong, they're absolutely amazing. But get on a hike, get down amongst the hoodoos, and it will blow your mind.
Fairyland Loop is like insane.
It's an 8-mile strenuous trail.
The appeal of the Fairyland Loop, though, is that it's a generally very quiet experience down amongst the hoodoos. It is 8 miles, though. We recommend hiking it in a counterclockwise direction. You can start this hike at Fairyland Point or on the Rim Trail north of Sunrise Point at the Tower Bridge trailhead.
This is the Tower Bridge. Hard to believe that thing's still together.
So for some of the easier trails, we suggest the Bristlecone hike, and we also suggest the Mossy Cave and Waterfall hike.
What's nice about the Bristlecone hike is the fact that it's at 9,100 feet above sea level, but for the most part, it's a pretty flat trail. Barely any elevation gain. Beautiful scenic views. It's an easy 1-mile starter hike. This is probably the first hike that you should do when you get to Bryce Canyon National Park, perfect warm-up.
Bristlecones thrive where few other plants can grow. At the windiest point of the trail on bare, rocky ground, this bristlecone has lasted more than 1,600 years.
Good golly.
Bristlecone pines can survive prolonged drought. When branches and portions of the trunk appear dead, other limbs may function at the main trunk. This bristlecone's trunk has been dead a long time while a surviving branch has become the new tree. That's awesome.
Yeah, Bristlecone Loop Trail, it is fairly well groomed. Doesn't meet the standards for ADA accessible, but if you want to push yourself a little bit, I think it's doable.
This is actually probably the worst part that we've seen of the trail right here. It's got a little bit of erosion. Not too bad still.
Welcome to today's Trail Talk with April of Go Travel on the Cheap. We are doing the Mossy Cave Trail. It is at the north end of the park, about 4 miles east of Highway 12. It's actually outside of the park's gate. It is approximately a mile out and back trail. It is a streamside walk up to a mossy grotto that the natural spring seeping from a rocky cliff and dripping mosses in summer, watering plants as it has for untold time.
Little hiking etiquette for you. People on the way up have the right of way, and the people on the way down need to yield to the people on the way up.
Buy a set of trekking poles. Definitely worth the investment if you're not an experienced hiker.
And this is kind of cool to see the Hooters right next to water. That's a first in all the years I've come to Bryce.
Not a whole lot of water in Bryce.
Right.
Little baby windows.
But there's specific formations that have specific definitions, right? So a window is different than an arch, which is different than a bridge.
The Tropic Ditch. Completed in 1892, pioneers used primitive tools labored for more than 2 years to complete a canal known as the Tropic Ditch to bring water to semi-arid valley below. To reduce the amount of necessary digging, they planned the route using natural water courses whenever possible, including the normally dry wash known as Water Canyon, as you see before you. Within Bryce Canyon National Park, the water still flows along the original route envisioned by those hardy souls. Except for the severe drought of 2002, the water has flowed continuously for over a century, and the lives of families living in and around the town of Tropic still benefit from the efforts of those pioneers.
The Mossy Cave and waterfall hike, super easy. There's a little bit of an incline, but 200 feet of elevation gain, not too bad.
It is a little bad when you just did 10 miles the day before.
Oh, quit your crying.
Definitely suggest going to the top of the waterfall and getting that different perspective of it as well. Whether you come to Bryce in this fall, you come in the spring, or you come in the winter, you're going to want to bring some crampons. Basically, these are just metal cleats that go into the bottom of your hiking shoes so you can walk through the ice and snow. As you can see,
They're not the easiest to put on, but
they work when you get into the ice and the snow. But we just wanted to show you what they are and let you know if you're coming at these times of the year, you need to bring these with you. We even have snowshoes in the car, hoping that we were going to get enough snow to actually snowshoe. It's pretty late in the season, so not going to get to use them today. This park is always evolving, always changing.
every park always is.
Yeah, this one moves fast.
Yeah. Look at this tree.
Yeah, that's got ate up with beetles. That's not good.
I know, bad.
I'm pretty sure those are beetle holes.
This is the Navajo Loop. Part of the Navajo Loop back up to Sunset Point. We started at Sunrise Point, went past Queen's Garden, and now what goes down must come up.
And it is muddy. Look at this. We decided to put the crampons on just because of the mud. Too bad we're not in Nepal right now. We could get us a Sherpa to carry us up there. I mean, our stuff. The real climb to the top starts now.
I can't even talk. I'm so out of breath. We've been climbing uphill for a while now.
Oh.
But this is really bad. These switchbacks look really bad.
So glad we actually had those crampons. So easy going down, but sucks coming up. Scenic Byway 12 is absolutely amazing. It is probably one of the coolest roads you'll ever drive in your life. It changes so fast. Where we're staying tonight is the small town of Tropic, just outside of Bryce Canyon. If you're also looking for another town that you can stay at, you can also stay at Panguitch, which is the other direction going towards Zion National Park. It's about 20 miles outside of Bryce Canyon. We're leaving Bryce and we're heading to Zion. It's only about an hour and a half drive. The parks are approximately 80 miles apart from each other. Are you guys interested in learning travel tips and travel hacks that will save you on your next adventure?
Go Travel on the Cheap puts out a free monthly newsletter now. We
share our latest travels, and we also offer you some travel tips to help you save time, money, and hopefully contribute to a more smooth traveling experience for you.
Sign up at the link below or our website, gotravelonthecheap.com. Something to be aware of when you're planning your trip. Try not to be on the roads right before sunset or right before sunrise, because that's when all the animals come out and it is a lot more dangerous to drive.
We're out here doing an easy, quick hike. It's a rainy day out in Zion. Believe it or not, Zion actually gets more visitors than Yellowstone does.
In 2023, the park had 4.62 million visitors, making it the 6th most visited national park in the country. Even though Zion National Park is open all year, 70% of visitors come during the busiest 6 months, which are April through September.
Give you an idea how far down we are in this canyon. Look at the size of those giant pine trees. They look tiny from here. If you only have one day to spend in Zion, a couple easy hikes that you can do is obviously the Riverside Walk. The Riverside Walk is 2.2 miles out and back. As you can see, it's easy. It's got a nice paved trail. If you're in a wheelchair, there is some sand on it. Today it's mud, but I can imagine it'd be dry sand.
It follows the Virgin River throughout the bottom of the Narrows Canyon. You can get close to the river without even having to get wet. We're in Zion National Park today, doing the Canyon Overlook Trail. It's only about a mile or so out. I can't really say this is super easy because it does have some stairs and switchbacks. It is worth the views. It is a little difficult to get a parking spot, so get there early.
Which is the reoccurring mantra theme of Utah's Mighty Five.
The Canyon Overlook Trail, you can't even take the shuttle to.
Weeping Rock Trail is about a half a mile round trip. The trail is paved, but has some steep sections and minor drop-offs, so it's not wheelchair accessible.
It's been off and on closed and open for years. It's currently closed again for some giant rocks that have been falling. But if it's open and you want an easy hike, it's a great place to start.
This is the start of the Narrows, which is close to that. We've tried to come out here and do the Narrows a couple times, but unfortunately each time there's been some kind of reason that we haven't been able to do it. Obviously today with the flash flood warnings, that's why it's closed today. But we've had it where the algae closed it. One of these days we'll get to do it. I wouldn't want to do it in the spring. It's chilly out here.
Did you hear what she said?
What?
The water is 44 degrees. No way. Even if I was in like a wetsuit or something, I bet you it'd be chilly still.
Yeah, if you are going to go do the Narrows hike, definitely check with the National Park Service to make sure that there's no potentials of flash floods. Also, make sure you rent some wetsuits and things to keep you warm, because the water is very chilly even though the sun could be hot during the day. You can typically rent the wetsuits and booties and that kind of stuff from Springdale. There's plenty of places to rent the gear. Most people suggest online that you get the gear the day before so you don't have to wait around trying to get it that morning.
Check out the waterfall. I've been here a lot of times and I've never seen the waterfall here.
No?
I do not remember a waterfall being there, but it's probably because I was here in the dry seasons. The river's a little low right now, but it is possibility of flash floods today, so you do want to be careful. You know, that's the thing with like getting into canyons and slot canyons and stuff. They become very dangerous for how much rain is not just where you're at, but 50 miles radius of it. Water rolls downhill, and obviously if we're at the river, we're at the bottom of the hill.
According to the National Park Service, Zion National Park experiences an average of 1 to 2 flash floods per year. In September of 2015, there was such a significant flash flood that it killed 20 people, and 10 of those were children.
Let's talk about how many days you really need to do the Mighty Five. If you want to do it super, super fast, you need 7 days. And that is racing through. If you want to enjoy it and take your time and do a lot of the good stuff, you can double that or triple it, depending on how much hiking you want to do, how many things outside the park you want to do.
Yes, we did this trip in 7 days, but we missed so much. Now keep in mind, we've been exploring these parks for 15 years and have hiked so many of these trails and done the overlooks. I honestly feel that if you only had 7 days, you're going to miss too much of the parks.
If you try to do all 5 in those 7 days.
We didn't even have time to rest.
Completely whooped.
And we missed a lot.
Yeah, we have never done all 5 parks in one trip.
Yeah, we always do them individually and spend 2, 3, 4 days at the park.
Well, we have that luxury.
Yeah.
Because we live close.
That's true.
There's so much to see and do in Utah. You can spend a lifetime hiking this place and not even see it.
There's always more to discover.
Now, if you see this peak that's in between the trees, that's the last section of Angel's Landing. You have to have a permit now to actually go to the very end of Angel's Landing. When April and I did it 5 or 6 years ago, you could just go out there and it was chaos.
This is not a hike for the inexperienced hiker. This, you need to know what you're doing, and you better have the right shoes.
And you need to take your time.
Angel's Landing is known as one of the most dangerous hikes in America. There are places that are literally 1,000-foot drop to the valley floor. From 1987 to May of 2024, there has been 16 deaths on Angel's Landing Trail.
Plenty more have hurt themselves.
Just when you thought the trail got hard, look at this. That's a trail. Angel's Landing will scare the bejeebies out of you and challenge you. The trail is 4.3 miles with an elevation gain of 1,827 feet out and back. And those switchbacks will destroy you. Those things were so hard. Needless to say, this is a strenuous hike.
I actually think it's good that they've put that in place.
I think it is good they put it in place.
I think it's smart that they went to a reservation system because it would get extremely crowded and it's too precarious a place for such crowds.
In fact, the crowds that were at Angel's Landing when we were there were just insane.
It was ridiculous. You have to do a lot of wait your turn. Those coming up, those going down. I am glad I did the Angel's Landing hike, but holy smokes, it was treacherous. I was crying, crawling, trying not to hyperventilate.
I was trying not to laugh.
Just a jerk. But I did it, and I'm proud of myself.
The Cayenne Trail to see the Emerald Pools is, I would consider, a moderate hike.
It consists of 3 different pools, a lower pool, a mid pool, and an upper pool. This trail has 620 feet of elevation gain.
It has quite a few stairs, rocks, those kind of things. It's not too strenuous, but with all the people, it's a lot slower than what it should be to hike it. As you can tell, it's been raining off and on for a couple days now. It is super muddy. You can see all the people in their tennis shoes. Brand new tennis shoes are just completely trashed. Honestly, you shouldn't even wear tennis shoes out on the trails. You should be wearing hiking boots. They're designed to grab the terrain much better than a tennis shoe. Little secret, if you want to get away from the crowds in Zion, pick a long hike. Once you get out about the 2-3 mile mark, it'll get a lot quieter. Yeah, or you can go to the Kolob Canyon side, which is 40 miles north of the south entrance off of I-15. When you're at Zion and you're looking for a place to stay, a couple towns, the closest ones are going to be obviously the most expensive, which is Springdale. We stayed in Hurricane last night, which is about 40 minutes outside of the park. It was a little bit cheaper. Whether you're going to or from the Grand Canyon. Kanab is about 42 miles away and approximately about an hour and 10-minute drive. But you can save some money by staying there. Depending on the time of the year that you come, I've seen this as barely a trickle in the summer. It's flowing amazing today, but it's also been raining for a couple days too. As you can see, there's lots of stairs on this trail. We're on the way to the middle. Actually, this is Lower Emerald Pools, the Cayenne Trail. If you do the whole thing, it's 3 miles. The advantage of it being rainy and ugly out is the waterfalls are flowing much heavier than normal. Look at that. Something magical about being at a waterfall. Sometimes these pools are really, really green because of the algae. Obviously, they don't look that way today. Okay, so you remember at the beginning of this video, we told you that one thing that was going to totally destroy your trip if you didn't plan for it is not giving yourself enough time. The reason is, in the real world, you think you can get into these parks and out of these parks easily, but you can't. You have to wait in line to pay to get in. You have to wait in line to catch a bus when you're on the trail. We're in the off season. See the hordes of people I'm passing? That means you have to stop and wait for them to get around them on a hike. So everything takes twice as long as what you anticipate. and I will give you the total miles we drove from Salt Lake City to do the Big 5 and then back to Salt Lake City at the end. Underestimating the time it takes to do the parks is probably the biggest mistake people make. Some of the parks just take forever just to get in.
A lot of people are on time constraints, but then that's where we suggest that you don't do all of the Mighty 5. That's our biggest secret. Break it up.
Instead of doing all 5, try to do 1 and really enjoy it, or 2 and enjoy it.
Did you know that there is another side to Zion National Park? It's called Kolob Canyons.
To the northern part of Zion National Park, just off of I-15 at exit 40,
Which is approximately 40 miles from Zion National Park, which is also about 17 miles from Cedar City.
Look at this. This is magnificent. Wow.
Picture.
Kolob Canyon. It's a 5-mile scenic drive.
If you're looking for less crowds, maybe more of an adventure, come over here.
The hikes are definitely on the more strenuous side. On the Coab side, the trails are all out and back. There are no loops on the Kolob side. There's only one easy hike that I had found, and that would be the Timber Creek Overlook Trail.
Don't know if we're going to do it today or not. We just came through a rainstorm that's heading this way. It's been raining on us all day anyway. But we definitely wanted to at least come do the scenic drive for a couple minutes.
It's an easy 1 mile out and back with only 255 feet of elevation gain. Get here early, take your time, maybe just do part of one of the longer hikes. You don't have to do the whole thing.
Kolob Canyon Scenic Drive is amazing. It's only a 5-mile scenic drive, totally worth it if you're heading back up towards Salt Lake on I-15. It's only about 40 minutes from the south entrance to the park to come here. Definitely worth the drive up to get it. It's not winter, it's spring. And you can tell it snowed about 8 inches last night. The roads are pretty thick. We want to thank you guys for watching our video all the way to the end. If you would, hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and like always, thank you for living life.